Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and here we are working on my Hobby Nut sponsored Malibu SS 64 Chevelle from AMT here. And I'm going a little bit higher detail in this particular build. And some of you guys have been asking why. It's more for, my pure enjoyment, just trying to have a little bit of fun and enjoy it, but add a lot of extra detail with the chassis having separate exhaust, separate suspension, an engine, which the plate chassis has all that, and you can detail paint it and make it look pretty good. And I've done that in some of the builds, but this one being a 64 Chevelle and that I like them, I wanted to take on the challenge and go for it. So, no real reason. I'm not trying to win any trophies or take it to shows. It's mainly for my enjoyment. That, and it also makes great content for you guys. But it is a bit of a challenge, especially when nobody's really done it before, because some of these I've copied what other people have done. But it's still a learning curve, and, no two builds end up alike anyway. So, with that said, where I left off was I had finished trimming all around the chassis, all in here and in here to get this to fit into the body. And I had got that narrowed down. And I was working on how I was going to do the engine compartment and what I was going to do, which way I was going to go. And I decided leaving the kit issued AMT firewall in place right here, I was gonna, do that and leave everything in there and then just add the inner fenders to the sides here. And well, that actually was probably the biggest challenge of all of it so far. So doing that, I made two separate inner fender wells here. So this is the driver's side and this is the passenger side. And these took quite a bit more work than I was initially expecting, but that's okay. Kind of a number of little things here because I had to move them forward. I had to shorten them. I wanted to keep the battery. So I had to trim some more in between the battery and this. So to show you the differences here, here's my other 64 Z16 convertible. And here, if you look at them, you can see, especially if I lay it down like this, how much I moved off and shortened the front and moved the battery back. So I didn't move it back. Okay. And so I cut in between here and then filled in the gap right there. So glued them together, filled in the gap. Still clear as the tires. It was a bit high, so I shaved it down, smoothed it out. Then I added this strip styrene and had it coming out a little farther. And I clearanced this so that it went around the heater box here. So just like a real Chevelle would, the blower motor's hidden behind the fender and a hinge mounting point. So it still is that way, and I kind of curled around it, and it's kind of open. But the real cars are that way as well. And then same thing with this side. Although this one was a little bit easier, but I added a little bit more to the back here to go touch to the firewall. So now it pretty much will butt up almost against that here to give me that. And still a little bit of a gap, but when it's all blacked out, you won't notice. But again, talk about how the real cars are kind of this way as well. So, but this one, it was the same. When I put it up to it here, you can see, especially the front, put it like this, you can see how much of it I removed off the front. On the back, I pretty much just, where it folded over, I cut it right there. And then I extended it and I put this piece on the top. But I did shorten it so you can see how much taller it is. I did shorten it because one of the things I was running into was when I was fitting it, was it was pushing the front suspension down and giving it me a little bit too high, and I wanted the frame to actually sit against here. So when this is in place, this actually rests right up there, and then this is visible under the bumper just a little bit. But again, the bumpers fit, and see if I can get that in place. Sorry, trying to do this under the camera. So that hangs out a little bit, but I want to keep that kind of snugged up. But the real cars kind of do that too. but that'll be black and it won't be quite as noticeable, but it's there. All right. So what is amazing though to me is that, you know, with a little bit of trimming I had to do the chassis to get it to fit. It fits really nicely. Most of the work was the inner fenders. Everything else after shaving and trimming fit. The body, start thinking about it, there's only one modification that I've done to this body, and that was adding these legs here, and only because the rear chassis, it could tuck in here and there was nothing really to stop it, to get it level with the bumper and everything. So I glued those in place. I glued them here and then I trimmed them and adjusted them, and as you can see, I shimmed them because they weren't cut truly square. So I ended up shimming them back up, gluing a little bit more, but none of that's visible. But that's the only modification I have done to this body. Nothing else has been modified. I don't even think I've done any cleaning up of any of the mold lines or anything like that. So it's kind of strange to think I haven't modified this at all. And same thing with the interior tub. There are no modifications to this interior tub. So, but let's show you some of this stuff as it goes together. Oh, one of the things I did do before I get too far, this did come out at a different angle. I sanded it and shaved it smooth so I can get it to fit behind the firewall. But once I did that and I had it mocked up in place, there was a gap right there. And they're kind of two different diameters. Now I can do some body work and fill that in a little bit, but I decided I would just cut this piece of styrene, glue it in place, just a piece of extra styrene I had lying around. So I just trimmed it, glued it, and got it like this. So now it all fits. But let's start putting some of this together. Let's get this in place. Move that. See, now you can see the firewall in there with that in there, and it all sits pretty square. With that bracing in there, there's how the bottom side is fitting, and it's all nice and snug. And this rear bumper just fits beautifully once it's in there. So bumpers are fitting, everything else is fitting. I get this piece in there. And then I made sure, you know, when I push this up and glues it, it rests right at the bottom of that. And then, like I was talking about the inner fenders, here we go. And they line up with the control arms, and they fit in there, and they're looking really good. Get both sides in there. This one's got that little piece. I just got to be a little bit careful I don't break it off, getting it tucked up in there. But there she is. There's my engine compartment. And like the way that's working. Now I did use the 65 Chevelle's radiator. It was not quite as tall, but still fits in here beautifully, goes in there. Give you an idea what that looks like. I'm trying to hold it up to the camera, it's falling, but got that in there. Okay, and I got, here's the 64 Impala's 327 engine. Now, I just glued it all together. I'm getting it ready for paint, primer, ready to go. And there's only one small modification I've done to this. The transmission mount had a pin for an Audi. And then this chassis has a pin for an Audi as well. You can see it right there. So I just reversed it, cut it, drilled into it. So now I can drop it in there. Let's get this in place. There we go. There's that small block in there, and it looks like it's fitting beautifully. I'm real happy with the way that's looking. I cut that master cylinder off, by the way. And I was looking at the one in the 64 Impala booster single master. I think I'm going to use that. I also did the 64 Impala's fan shroud just to see but you can see how far that radiator and pulleys are. So when I put the radiator in there, if I can get it in an angle where you can see it and I can still see it. There we go. So it's a little bit far away, but not this far away. Give you, see how much farther that goes. But this one ought to work really good. That's from the Chevelle. Put those there. And then I was looking at these. Now this fan from the Impala kit, it sticks out quite a bit. So that'll fill up some of the gap as well. So I'm not too worried about that. But this is some fine tuning stuff that I'll find out once some of the stuff is painted and I'm getting it glued in there for the last time. Okay. And then speaking of that, I'll leave the motor in there. Let the inner fenders fall back out. Now the front suspension, I like where that is sitting. And same thing with the rear suspension right here. I glued the springs to it so I could see where it sits so you can see how it's going. Oh, and another surprise. Check this out. Now I knew that the Revell wheel backs were going to be way too big, but the 64 Impala had these in there, and they're meant for the smaller lowrider tires. Here's the AMT tire. They fit in there beautifully. I don't have to do anything. There's no work. The only thing I got to do is sand a little bit off the back here to get the two to mate because it's pushing the wheel cap out just a little bit. But I was running into that with the factory ones too because there's these 4 prongs and they were hidden. So, but this, check this out. It fits right on these pins. Now they don't snap, but they fit beautifully. And, I could just glue them and they're fitting beautifully. And then when I mock them up in the chassis here, that fall out. There you can see right where the tire is sitting, and it virtually matches the box art right there as far as where the tire is sitting, spacing, and it seems to be just a hair forward, but it's not bothering me at all. But moving it back would be difficult because of all the mounts and the suspension, but it's lining up beautifully on both sides even. And even the front suspension. Okay, you get this glued in place. Is that in the right? There you go. There it is in a spring. And there she is. And it's just like very centered, very nicely lined up, spaced out. And that's really not doing any work, just using the select components. And everything is just going together like super, super nice and easy for the most part. Now there is one challenge I'm running into, which I knew was coming because the 65 is a big block. When I put the exhaust in, I already know I need to do something with these head pipes to come to the engine because this engine is center dump, which is correct for 64. So got to hook those up and have those connect to those. That's not too much of an issue. And the only other thing is these side pipes, they seem to hang down just a little bit too far and turn. So I want to turn them up a little bit and be more factory. So a little bit of a twist to them, and that'll be easy to fix. So most of the work will just be in this front section. But again, be working on that once the motor is more glued in place and these manifolds are on and I know exactly where everything is. But that's just some of the tiny little challenges I've got. But those are simple compared to everything else that I've been through. And this is going together really well. I got paint on order. Now, the one thing I'm kind of stuck on, as I've shown you before, my 65, I'm making a convertible. I have a 65 hardtop. But I also have that resin 64 Chevelle. That's the missing link kit I've kind of shown before. And I do plan to build that as well. So I'm back and forth on whether or not I want to make this a convertible. And since I had did no modifications to this body, other than the stands, and no modifications to the interior, it's literally leaving it wide open where, it doesn't matter the rest of the kit. Do I want to cut this off? And then my buddy Bill helped me out because I asked him if he had any 65 GTO convertible boots, and he hooked me up with another convertible boot, and then also the back half of the interior for the dog legs, so I can graft those and add that to that. But I already know, like the 65, it fits pretty nicely, which I already knew, but it was a matter of just getting another boot or not. So got another one of these, and he actually hooked me up with a couple, so thank you, Bill. And so that's leaving me with this thing is, all right, do I go that extra step and make this a convertible? And I'm really leaning towards doing that, just because, I like convertibles, and I've been itching to do a convertible, as you can tell. Cut that one recently. But everything else on this one is going together. And it's about ready to start painting this and start doing some body work. So that's my next dilemma is, do I stop right there and make it a convertible, or do I not? Now, one of the things that is a concern that I need to think about, if I do make it a convertible, am I going to cut those pins off and mess with the gluing of the windshield? Will these 2 pins be enough to deal with it? I think they will be, but, that's just in the next phase if I go that far. But let me know what your thoughts are. Should I do a convertible on this one? Have a little bit of fun with it? Well, I'm already having a ton of fun with it already. But yeah, you guys, let me know what your thoughts are on that. And, going along with there. And the only other thing I found, by the way, my hood is broken, or short shot, which at first I thought not a big deal, especially if I cut the engine compartment. But now that I'm leaving the firewall in the engine compartment, I do need to recreate that, or maybe even contact AMT and see about getting another hood. But I may just pick up another kit. Don't know. But if I mess up the body, then yeah, I'll definitely be getting another kit. But since I didn't do any modifications to the body other than the stands, if I do mess up, I'm not really down a whole lot of work, because all the rest of this work fits the body without really doing anything to it. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are and what you'd like to see, guys, as we go along with this, as this is becoming a lot of fun. So thanks for tuning in, subscribing, and thanks to Hobby Nut Models for sponsoring this build. I really do appreciate it. And you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next time.